Welcome to e4health Talks. I'm Lauren Alston, Manager of Talent Acquisition here at e4health, and in each episode, I'll be chatting with team members, leaders, and industry professionals about their careers, experiences, and all things e4health. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and good afternoon. My name is Lauren. I am the Talent Acquisition Manager here at e4health, and today I'm having an exciting conversation with one of our team members. So, Marla, tell us about you and what you do here at e4health.
My name is Marla Kelly. I've been in the coding realm for 30 plus years, and right now I'm an outpatient ED coder for E4.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I just wanted to chat with you and learn a bit more about your experience here at E4Health and maybe, tell everyone why they should join us and some great feedback about what we do. So, tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to E4Health.
Well, like I said, I started into the medical field on accident. It wasn't planned, it just happened about 30 some years ago. Started in data entry, moved into insurance. I was on the prophy side of things. Then eventually worked my way into the facility side of things, became a contract coder. And once you become a contract coder, you get to experience a lot of different vendors. And all of the vendors I've had experience with, E4 is in the top rim. It's easygoing. Transition is easy. Onboarding was easy. Whatever little hiccups there were, they were handled immediately. Everybody was just super friendly and ready to help. And still like that a year later. The new hasn't worn off. So,
Well, that's great news. I love to hear that. And of course, hiccups happen. And, as long as there's a quick, fast solution, I mean, we do all that we can do. So we'll piggyback on the onboarding. You mentioned that the onboarding was easy and it was a kind of seamless transition. Did you come from E4 Health from a full-time role? Did you leave a job to join us?
yes, at the time
Mhm.
I came to E4, I was doing it as a PRN basis. I wanted to keep, stay
Okay.
in diagnosis coding. At the time, I was in revenue integrity for a hospital in Oklahoma. And, you always want to keep coding. And so once I started doing PRN work, I'm like, I'm kind of liking this company. So, and then things were slowing down at with the revenue, where at the hospital I was at doing revenue integrity. And I'm kind of like, so I reached out and I said, hey, if there's any full time positions pop up, keep me in mind. Next day, I get a phone call. And so I said, oh, yeah, I'll take it. So, but one thing I've noticed about E4, they're very competitive in benefits and wages. And that's a huge thing in this market.
It's important. Yeah, definitely.
Other vendors, the recruiters will tell you anything you want to hear. And come to find, and most of the time they're putting you on their roster. They don't even they're using you to sell, to buy, to get that contract versus not already having the contract and then saying, hey, are you interested? So
Mhm.
that was another thing that was appeasing.
Right, right. Probably refreshing to have immediate work and then to be able to go from PRN to full time. Yeah, I'm sure that was a huge benefit, definitely. I'm glad we were able to offer that. And, you're absolutely right. Our benefits are really competitive, especially in the consulting world. We're offering full medical benefits, that 4% 401k match. Do you have a favorite benefit, Marla, that value the most?
I would have to go with vision. I mean, the medical plans,
Mm,
they're all straight aboard, but the vision plan is a good plan. The 401k, that's great because a lot of companies do not offer that.
right. And did you know we also offer that 401k to our part-time employees as well?
No, I did
So
not.
both full-time and part-time do qualify for that. They have to work a certain number of hours, but it is an option for part-time as well, or PRN. So yeah, all great options.
Right.
Have you ever utilized our educational benefits here?
I have is that in Paylocity?
Yeah, so we offer a homegrown education center that we've built. Our education team built that, and it includes over 350 AHEMA, AAPC, and ACDIS EUs, and you would find it on our website.
I did when
Hmm.
I was getting it close to having to renew one of my certifications. And I'm like, okay, I'm short this many CEUs. So I did look in it and I'm like, here we
Right.
go. So
Yeah, there's a bunch in there, along with the educational reimbursements. Like you say, recertification fees, new exam fees. During your time with E4Health, have you looked into any other certifications?
right now I'm already certified with AHEMA and AAPC.
Oh, so you're the double whammy.
I got the double whammy. But coming October, I mean, this was one thing that was discussed in my yearly review. I said, I want to go back and revisit same day surgery or outpatient coding. It's been a hot minute since I've done that. And she
Right.
goes, we can get that sent to you anytime you want to start. And I said,
Wow.
okay, so
Wow. Okay.
let's go for October. You know, right now it's kind of busy for me. My son's getting ready to graduate, busy summer. So this would be a good in October, like in late fall. And she goes, that's what I was thinking as well. So there we go. Not very many companies, vendors will give you on the job training into a different realm. So that's comforting. And that's a selling point right there in itself. Because most
Hmm.
vendors that I've experienced, well, oh, you don't have, sorry, we can't help you with that.
Hmm.
You're on your own looking for it online and taking, those courses, and then you may or may not get into their program.
And it truly speaks to you because we are a consulting company. We do have to follow the requirements of our clients and what they need, but it speaks to you as a coder. If our operations team, they obviously see potential in you. You've had a great background, a strong background, and they obviously see that you could easily pick this up in the future as well. So that's fantastic. I'll be excited to learn some more about it when you get there in the fall.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, I enjoyed it when I was doing it. It's just
Mhm.
I had a couple managers that just said, "You're strong here. We want you here. We're keeping you here." I'm
Right.
like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So,
And that's great, but sometimes when you wanna spread your wings a little bit, right?
right. Well, you want to grow. You don't want to stay
Mhm.
stagnant. So,
Right. Absolutely. So Marla, you were saying earlier, you mentioned that you had an annual review. I know that not many consulting companies offer this. So have you found that helpful? And do you have any feedback on that?
from when I first started working many, many years ago to now, everybody wants you to do a self analysis of yourself or a self review. So that's kind of new to me. But it was very educational when we actually had our one-on-one regarding that. Okay, now I know what they're looking for. Now I know what she means. But you sit there and you look through this paper and you're answering the questions and you're kind of like, I'm here on time every day. So what's but I guess that is issues with others. But there's things that they ask and like your productivity, your audit scores, your schedule, your punctuality. Do you ask questions? Do you correct on your mistakes? Things like that. And so when you go into that one on one and she explains her side of things, then you kind of understand okay, so you learn what they're looking for. So there is room for improvement. And I don't care how good you get, there's always room for improvement. So
Mhm.
by doing that, you learn where you can grow, expand, improve, or even come up with ideas to enhance that job, you know, position or whatever. Or in my
Right.
case, like okay, I think I'm ready to start learning other things to branch out to where I can be more beneficial to E4. And that's where we
Mhm.
came up with, um, starting this fall, look into outpatient surgery or same day surgery coding. Or if you want to go into, like team lead or management, they have steps to help you get into that. And that's things you learn
Mhm.
through that one on one.
Right. And I I think you have a one-on-one with your manager, at least weekly, correct? Just a kind of touch base one-on-one?
Once a month.
Monthly. Okay. So the annual review, that's reviewing, everything, you mentioned kind of just as a whole feedback and room for improvement, things like that. And you seem to have found it beneficial. And I think for most people in this industry, it's very easy to feel like a number. And I think by doing those annual reviews, those performance evaluations, merit based annual reviews as well, you definitely feel more than just a number. You feel like a valued employee. Your quality of work, you get feedback on. I just think people in your industry, they really value feedback, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Just be providing or having that communication is valuable.
It's very valuable. And the monthly one on ones, it's their way of checking on you. Hey, how's it going? How are you feeling? Any concerns? You know, they touch on both personal and professional.
Right, right. How is your week going? How are you finding this? Yeah.
Usually, if there's issues like software issues, that stuff doesn't wait. We just say, hey, we've got an issue with this, or this has been going on every week. It's slow, or it's bogging down, and she's on it.
And the software issues, I mean, that can be problematic. If you don't have support, you really cannot do your job. So having a, communicative tech team, a responsive manager, that is all I mean, truly the backbone of what you need to be able to, get over that hurdle.
And the software issues may not always be on E4 side. It could be client side, or there could be something where they're not meeting and playing together right. So either way, we get people involved on it. I mean, that's where I say you've got a problem. If it doesn't get resolved, then you're not communicating.
So you mentioned you have a busy summer. How does E4 Health work with your schedule? Is it flexible? Are you able to work your desired hours and then still, get the stuff done that you need to?
Very flexible hours. I mean, I'm one of the ones that starts at 4 a.m.
Ooh, Marla, oh my goodness.
I
How
pull
many cups of coffee do you have?
by 10 o'clock, probably two.
Okay.
But I try to do 4 9-hour days. And then on
Okay.
Fridays, I do a 4-hour shift. That helps with the flexibility for appointments, errands,
Mhm.
and grant you, it doesn't always pan out that way, but you get 3 days to get things done around your house.
Right.
And and by starting at 4 and you take a quick break in between, halfway through the day, then you're off by early mid afternoon, you still have the rest of those sunlight hours to get things done outside or inside if it's cloudy and rainy. So,
Mhm. Have you always worked that schedule?
um, I think so, except for the places
Okay.
that wouldn't let me start that early and they made me start late, like at 6.
Mm.
So
Late.
I, we're busy people. So
Yeah.
we try to crunch as much time as we can into a day. And
Productivity, right? I mean, we want to be productive both in work and outside of work. So that makes sense. And I'm glad you've found a schedule that works for you. Obviously, your client, you must have a really good relationship with your client and, they've agreed to that. And, as a whole, I think E4 Health has a lot of flexibility and, If you needed to change that, do you find, reaching out to your managers, are they easily accessible? Can you communicate with them?
Yes, it's as simple as a Teams message. Say, hey, something's come up. I need to work a split today or finish my shift later this evening or possibly Saturday. Um, or if I know in advance that I have something coming up during the week, I'm like, hey, I need to be off early this day. Can I go ahead and get my hours in on Sunday? I I'm so used to flexing. She does remind me occasionally, you do have PTO. I said,
Right. Yeah, you can use your time off.
right, but if it's going to be like a small thing, I just flex my time, make the time up, and move on. I do agree that they do encourage you to use your PTO and take your time off because you need that mental break.
Definitely. I mean, especially in your field, you're looking at a screen for most of the day. You're reading, complex charts, data, extracting data, making sure the codes look right. It's a lot for the mind, for the eyes, and sometimes you need to switch off a little bit. So
Right.
we definitely encourage PTO use.
Yes. So, and that's another reason why I went with the 4 9s and the 4. That also gives me almost 3 days to, you know, wind down.
Wonderful. Well, that's great to hear. So, going back to your time when you first started with e4health, when you applied to the job, um, I assume, a recruiter reached out to you, you then had an interview. Tell us a little bit about your onboarding process, just as a whole, and what that looked like.
Well, someone referred me, so I reached out and I got a email within that, I think the same day, and a call. I mean, it went quickly. I mean, from the time I put in my application, I think it was like 3 days and we were wrapped up and starting on
We
that.
move quick.
Right. So I remember, I think the longest thing we had to wait for is the background check, and that didn't take long.
Mhm.
But it was kind of like everything started on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and we had everything pretty much wrapped up by Friday, and it was just a waiting game.
Wow.
And then as
Wow.
soon as the waiting game was over, it was you're on.
And by waiting game, you mean the background check, right?
The
Like the
background,
HR side of things,
right.
that logistic.
The
Hmm.
background check was the thing we were waiting on, I guess. But no,
Right.
it was very quick.
That's good. That's great. Did you have a good experience with the interviews that you did with your recruiter interview and then your hiring manager interview?
That was seamless. It seemed like, if I remember, I mean, I don't remember being nervous or having anything. You know how after some interviews you're sitting there and you're thinking, "Oh man, this didn't go well." I didn't have that feeling at all.
Right.
And the test
That's
was
good.
painless. So
Hmm.
maybe it's just because by the time you've taken so many tests that it's easy to
Mm.
say it's painless.
Right. And that's something, on my team, in the talent team, we revise our tests. We have our education team, they revise them at least yearly, to just make sure that they are as painless as possible. When we are going through the process with our candidates, a test is going to, almost always be mandatory, but working with the education team, making sure that these tests are as painless as possible and as up to date as possible, that always helps. So Marla, tell us about how you see the culture here at e4health. How do you think our culture feels?
I think it feels really well. It's You have this work environment, but they also want to incorporate fun time with this work environment. They want to make everybody feel welcomed. And one of the things that I did notice that from the upper management all the way down to, lower man or lower, I hate saying upper and lower, but everybody's they're genuinely concerned about everybody. They're willing to listen, make changes, or act upon something or explain things. And as far as trying to make the fun thing. There's a lot of neat little activities about once a month, if I remember correctly, or every couple months, where people can engage from all levels of the company and you get to know everybody on a different level.
Have you partaken in any of those activities, Marla?
I did the ornament exchange. I love to read, but I could not get into the book club because of my schedule, and it was my schedule just being busy. And then by the time I do get time to sit down and read, I'm out like a light within 10 minutes. So
I hear that.
I was just like,
So you did the ornament
right.
exchange. So that was run by our culture council, and I don't know if you know this, Marla, but we actually have a group of dedicated team members who meet once a month, and they come up with fun ideas to engage our employees, to keep everyone involved. To your point, and when you're in a remote environment like this, we really want everyone to feel part of the team. We're all over the country, we're nationwide. But at the end of the day, we're one organization, we're one team. And our culture council's mission is to, make everyone feel involved. So the ornament exchange was a great initiative that we ran. I know we have a wellness challenge coming up in the next couple of months. I don't know. Are you ready for a wellness challenge, Marla?
I'm mentally ready for it. Now, body wise, we'll have to wait and see.
I love it. Well, we'll be incorporating both physical and, mental activities as well. So, wellness is different for everyone, whether it is mental, health and wellness or physical wellness. There's always something for everyone. So you mentioned before that, when we do these, fun initiatives, you're interacting with all levels of leadership. Specifically within your department, so the coding department, do you feel, supported by your leadership?
Yes, very much so.
Mhm.
It's like I said, anytime I have an issue come up, I can reach out. If my manager's unavailable or on PTO, I'm more than comfortable than reaching out to her supervisor or higher up, Amanda or Sabrina, and say, hey, I've got this situation, or hey, I got a question. What do how do I
Yeah.
handle this?
So, Marla, what would you tell people that are maybe looking at our LinkedIn page, maybe browsing our Indeed page or our Glassdoor reviews, and they're contemplating applying to us? What would you tell them? What advice would you have?
I would tell them to go for it. I said it's a very easygoing place, low key. My stress level is very low. I said you'll have great support, and I don't think you would regret doing this. And, they're open, like you said, open door policies, easy to get on. Once you get on, get in there, everything happens quickly, and you never lose that support.
And I think something that when I do candidate interviews, I'll often ask them, what do you value from an organization? What are you looking for from your next employer? And the number one thing I hear is communication. That's what people value, an email, a Teams, a call, whatever it is. I think communication in general is just so important. Even if it's just a touch base of, hey, I'm working on this, leave it with me. At least there's communication there. You feel heard, you know that you have a voice.
Right, and the communications, I can't complain about how communication goes here. It's very good, very open, very candid, upfront. We don't have to guess what's going on. We know.
So, Marla, I assume as one of our coders, you also work really closely with our audit team. How's your experience been with them?
Very pleasant, great. I can remember on the onboarding, if I had, the first couple charts is always, that's where you learn. You're going to figure out what they're looking for and what the client wants. And so that's where you got to dig in and you get to know your auditor and say, okay, what's your thought process? What's the client's thought process? And once you get those gelled, it's great. It's easy. And the auditing team for the 3 clients that I had has been super in education, explaining how things go, what they're looking for, what the client wants. And yeah, there are some codes out there I've never heard of. I'm like,
You can't know everything, Marla.
well, no, but I mean, and it's like, but you certain fields, EDs and or radiology or whatever, you get to know most of your codes that you're going to see, and then all of a sudden there's a new one, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. So, but and they're very approachable. Like, okay, I'm on the fence. I don't know which way to go with this. Please, what's your opinion?
And you're able to just ask them for that feedback and they'll guide you, right? Excellent.
No, they're not giving me the answer. They're looking at it, and if I say, okay, but what about this? They're like, no, or yeah, I can see your point. And the auditor I work with now, she's great. And like I said, the onboarding auditors were great as well. So
That's wonderful feedback. Um, yes, one of our core values here, Marla, is to challenge each other respectfully. And I love that you can do that with your auditor. You can ask them, why did you get there and how did you get there, and you can have that kind of open line of communication. So that is great and very important, especially when you're doing your pre-bill and your onboarding. It's already an overwhelming time starting a new job, getting in all the programs and the systems. So to have a supportive auditing and just team as a whole is really valuable.
I agree. So, and they're very open to suggestions or, and they're not, once they give you what they think, they're not stuck on that podium. If you throw something else out there that could possibly shake that, they're open to that answer. Okay, I see where you're getting at. I agree with you. And you don't see that often either. And I think it's important that they don't switch auditors up on you every month. They keep the
Right.
same
So
one.
it's pretty consistent.
Right. And
Okay.
that way you're not getting, because everybody has, coding's not black and white, it's gray, it's by interpretation.
Right.
And not everybody will bounce like that. So
So, Marla, lastly, and thank you so much for your time today. It's been so great just listening to your experience and, specifically from someone who's on the other side of things. I'm hiring people like you and candidates every day. So to hear that you've had such a positive experience certainly makes my job feel worth it. So I appreciate your time. Last question for you. Tell me about a time, Marla, where you felt really proud of the work that you've done with E4Health.
my manager, she had just gotten off the client call and she messages me through Teams and she goes, they are ecstatic with our team. They love you guys. She goes, but they're very
Wow.
pleased with you and the work you've been doing as well. And I'm like, wow, that's nice to hear. Because there's days
Yeah.
that you just feel like, what am I doing? But when you get that feedback almost immediately, that's nice to hear. So that would have been one of my prouder moments. And then the client even reached out, the team lead, she calls me, she goes, okay, you had a question about this chart. And I said, yes, I did. And she goes, oh, by the way, did they tell you how happy we are? I said, yes, they did. So she goes, good, sure. So, but I said, oh, yeah, they can let us know immediately if there's problems, issues, or praise reports. So we're good.
Right. Right. And often it's so easy to focus on, not necessarily negative, but feedback and room for improvement. But to hear the good is probably such a pick me up, and I imagine is, a great start to the day. So thank you for sharing that. We all appreciate everything you do with E4Health, and you've been with us a year now, so we're hoping for many, many more. And thank you for your time today, Marla. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we look forward to hopefully your story has inspired people looking at our LinkedIn page and our Indeed page to reach out and apply. And if there are any, coders, auditors, or CDIs out there, feel free to email me. I'll put my email on the screen here. You can send me your resume, and we'll look forward to connecting. Thank you so much, Marla.
Thank you.